everyone that might be going through something, maybe a rocky time in their marriage. Maybe they're thinking about some things. Maybe they're wondering if maybe divorce is right for them. I want you to just hear these words, that this Bree would never wish this pain on her worst enemy. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast, episode 197. Thank you for being here. I answer your questions. You send them to me, grangersmithpodcast@gmail.com. Make them about anything. It doesn't matter the subject, and we'll kind of walk through it. Long form, like we're sitting in the truck. You got a question for me, and I'm like, man, that's a good question. Let's talk about it. Let's take a little bit of time, and we're going to jump right into this first one here. These are, by the way, they're out of order. They're random. I haven't read them. I don't have notes. We're just going for it. So you're going to hear these as I hear them for the first time. First one, subject line says, divorce. Hey, Granger, I appreciate your music, love of God, and your podcast. I enjoy listening to them while I'm at work. To get to the point, my husband and I are going through a divorce. I feel like a failure. I have failed my husband. I failed God. I failed my marriage. I failed as a wife. There was infidelity on both ends. I know it's the right thing to do, but I've never felt so hurt before. This feels like death. If I'm being honest, I don't want this divorce, but he has made it so clear that there is no going back. Papers have been signed. I lost it when the notary walked up to me to have them signed. I would never wish this pain on my worst enemy. Being a Christian, it's so hard to accept that I am adding to that high divorce rate. God bless. Bree. All right, Bree, thank you so much for the email and for being vulnerable. And there's not a question here. So interesting. It's very rare that I get an email that's not a question, but I'm going to use this actually for this podcast because I think you not asking a question is just as powerful to tell your story out loud, to say it to anyone that's listening, so that either it's a warning to them, or it's encouragement for them, or it's reassurance for them. Either way, everyone listen to what she's saying. Imagine this moment. Imagine this scenario playing out, and we could almost picture it where she says, papers have been signed. I lost it when the notary walked up to me to have them signed. I would never wish this pain on my worst enemy. I wish everyone could use that. Everyone that might be going through something, maybe a rocky time in their marriage, maybe they're thinking about some things, maybe they're wondering if maybe divorce is right for them. I want you to just hear these words, that this Bree would never wish this pain on her worst enemy. I'm so sorry. Next question. Subject line says, I'm so frustrated with the way you choose emails to read. Interesting. It says, last week you read an email from a young woman whose mother said terrible things to her and she forgave her mother. It was the perfect time to read my email, which I was asking the same thing from the mother's point of view. I've been waiting a long time for an answer to my situation. The more time that passes, the less likely it will be seen. Just saying, last week would have been perfect. Trisha. Okay. Trisha, I'm sorry. I don't have a specific order that I read these emails. They come in random to me. I'm not screening them. I'm not making subjects and going, okay, now I'm going to look for mother and daughter and have the daughter forgives the mother. I'm going to look for those kind of emails and read them. I don't have a plan. I'm sorry. I'm juggling a lot of things in my life, and I try to do my best that I can through all of them. But there's certain things that have to give with all the different jobs that I juggle, preparing a lot for this podcast and getting ready and like getting all the emails in order. It's just not something I do. It's not something that I have time to do. And I don't think it's necessary. I think the podcast flows just fine without me needing to screen the emails or worry about what I'm going to say. So I think, okay, my opinion is the appeal to me of this podcast is you never know what you're going to get. Like, I don't cut it, I don't edit it, I just read it and I answer it like you asked me point blank in the cab of a truck a question, and I'm going to answer it right or wrong. I'm going to stumble through it sometimes. I think that's the appeal to the podcast. I don't plan it, so I'm so sorry that you're frustrated. And I hope everything works out. Another point maybe, don't wait for me to give you the answer to move on with your life, right? Like, I'm not the guy. I'm just a friend, okay? Next question, subject line, tithing. Good afternoon, Granger. My name is Blake. I'm 23 years old. I've been a longtime fan of your music and the podcast. Just had a quick question regarding tithing. So I recently began tithing and gave 10% each month to the church I attend. My question is this: is it okay to give to other charitable causes, nonprofit organizations, individuals who need help, etc.? Or was tithing only meant to be given to the church? I love giving to my church, but I would also be able to love to give to other charitable organizations, individuals on occasion, if I can. I really appreciate all the wisdom you give on the podcast and would love to attend a live podcast show someday. And he says, add St. Louis to that tour. That's cool. Live podcast tour. And St. Louis, that sounds like a good city to add it to. It says, Yee Blake. Blake, appreciate the email, brother. Okay, a couple things. There's nothing too in-depth here. A couple things. The 10%, that's an Old Testament idea, and it doesn't have to correlate into modern-day tithing. In fact, the New Testament is going to say a little bit different. It's going to say, give generously, give cheerfully, right? So give generously and cheerfully, and whatever you feel is right. You know, if you're into your Bible and you've got a good prayer life, go with what your heart tells you to go, because that's probably a good desire. And it's great to give your church. It's great to give to other charitable organizations. There's nothing wrong with that. And to think any other way would be legalistic about it. To be like, oh, you're not a good Christian unless you give this amount to this organization and not this one, and only to the church for this. Like, that's not a healthy way to put those kind of parameters, that kind of box around it would be unhealthy. Instead, think about it more rationally, with love, with generosity, with cheerfulness. Just think of it in terms of, I'm going to give to my church because I believe that my church is a good steward of this money, and I believe that it could do this, this, and this, and I believe in this body, this local congregation that I pour into and they pour into me, and we are a family together in that way. Okay, so I'm going to give to them because of that, but I'm not because of an obligation that I have to, not because I'm a bad person if I don't. And same with giving a little bit over here and a little bit over here. Do it because you're a good steward of money that was given to you as a gift as well. Nothing is ours. We're all stewards of all the gifts here. So give and give and give according to what your heart desires and what you think is responsibly good for your community, for you to serve back to it, okay? There's no scientific formula at all to this. Even though 10% is it's a pretty good rule of thumb, right? It's a pretty good guide. If you have no guide, that's a good guide. We'll end with that. Next question, subject line says, read on podcast, please. It says, I'm in a big problem right now. I met this girl 5 years ago. We became really close, and then we dated for only about 3 months, and then things just ended. She said, we're never getting back together, but we are only 16, and I still love her just the same. I don't know what to do. I was thinking of just waiting it out and seeing what the future holds. Buddy, it's time to let it go. It's time to let it go. She said we're never getting back together. Take her word for it. Anything more than that, you're stalking and you're borderline psycho. Let her go. Next question, subject line, relationship trouble, please help. Hey, Granger, I'd like to stay anonymous here. I'm in a training. I am a in training youth preacher at my local church, and there's a girl that is one of a kind in my eyes. I believe in Jesus and asked him if she is going to be a good choice for me because my center in a relationship is God. And all my signs I asked from God is green flags. So I told my pastor above me about it, and he said I should talk to her about my signs I got from him. So then I told her all about my signs I got, but then she does not feel the same connection between us, but her actions tell a different story. I have tried to move on, but our paths keep crossing every time. I don't know what to do with my current situation, and I'm in on a breaking point. Please help. Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you for your music. I love it. Thank you, Anonymous. Okay. Anonymous, I'm going to go with this last sentence. You said, please help. Any advice would be appreciated. Brother, I hope you're listening. I hope you're listening. Let her go. Let her go. It's interesting, right? Like, you're saying, this is a little bit psycho, buddy. This is a little bit psycho, just like the email right before it. I don't know how old you are, but I'm assuming you're around a teenager, right? Maybe a little older. But it's a little bit scary. To be honest with you, it makes me a little uncomfortable because this is what's going on. You say, first of all, you know Jesus is going to say this wicked generation that asks for signs. Did you know that? Youth pastor in training, stop asking for signs. You have a book, a Bible. That is the living, breathing word of God, sharper than any two-edged sword. That is your sign. It has been spoken. It is finished. Okay? Don't look for signs. Second, you asked God, and he gave you green lights. Huh? Okay? You told her about this, and she says she doesn't feel the same connection. That means that's not a green light, that's a red light. You read it wrong. You're getting signs from the wrong thing. That's a scary thing in itself. I'm going to divide this up into many scary things with this email. Remember that old analogy? Maybe you don't. There's this old story that people used to tell that said there's a man and he's on a desert island and he's stranded on the desert island. And he said, God, please help me. Please help me, God. I'm stranded on this island. And a boat floats up to the island. And he goes, there's a boat, but I prayed that God would save me. Later, a helicopter comes. They're like, hey, man, are you stranded? He's like, yeah, I'm stranded here, but don't worry. God's going to save me. And they're like, okay, bye. And they leave. He died. The man dies. He starves to death. And one day he faces judgment and he goes, God, where were you? And God says, I sent you a boat and a helicopter. What's up, man? That's what your story is. God, you said, God, give me a sign. And she said, no, I don't want a relationship. And you said, okay, so I'm waiting for this sign from God. She said, no, bro, let her go. Let her go. Guys, listen to me. Second email in a row. I'm a little frustrated. I've got a daughter. I've got 3 sons, but I have a daughter, and I love her. And right now, she's going to turn 12 this year. Stop it, guys. We're going to have some serious conversations if this happens to my daughter, and there's a guy that doesn't take no. She doesn't want to be in a relationship. He doesn't take that for an answer. God has nothing to do with this at that point, right? God has spoken. You're making this up. Maybe I'm, hey, tough love, man. Maybe I'm going a little too far. Maybe I'm being a little too tough on you. Maybe you're only 19 and this is your first relationship, maybe I'm going a little too tough. But listen, tough love. I think tough love is better than me giving you a softball. Okay. Let's hit another one here, man. Let's hit another one. Subject line on this one says, choosing between music and home. Hey, Granger, first I'd like to say I'm a huge fan of yours, and I'm so happy the Lord has called you on a mission to serve and step away from music. I am a country singer, songwriter, and a new father. Lately, I've been battling with the question of how could I be a good father and a touring musician? I am not dating or married to the mother of my child, so it makes things a little difficult. Lately, I've had a great deal of success with music, and I have a song that's almost to 1 million streams in less than 6 months. Glory to God. I've been praying and seeking guidance on if I need to step away from music or if there's a better way to be present in my daughter's life and on tour. The greatest gift God can give a man besides salvation is to be a father. I don't want to regret not being present for my daughter, but I also don't want to regret not chasing my dreams when I feel like I'm so close to achieving them. Thanks for being such a good example for us musicians and fathers. God bless. Your pal, Sequoia. All right, my man, let's dive into this. I'm a little worked up, to be honest. The last couple emails, got me a little worked up. Got a daughter at home, right? And so, tough love, Sequoia. Tough love, okay? You know I love you. I got to start out with that. You know I love you, right? Okay. Let's dive into your email. First thing I'm going to say, you say, I've had a great deal of success with music with a song almost to 1 million streams in less than 6 months. Success, according to who? Success in relation to what? Are you trying to relate yourself to Justin Bieber because Taylor Swift? Because she just got 1 billion in a week, right? So I don't, my point is your dream is unattainable. You don't know what success is if you're measuring it by streams. 1 million streams, that's nothing. If you want to play Major League Ball, that's nothing. That's struggling. Took you 6 months to get 1 million streams. That's struggling. They're never going to get a record deal on that low of a stream, right? I'm messing with you here, and I'm half serious. Just to tell you, I want to put in perspective that, bro, you're not going to find this dream if you're looking for it in numbers and streams and chart positions. You're not going to find it this way. Because it might seem like success now, but 5 years from now, if you're still doing that, you're spinning your wheels doing nothing. I'm trying to help with that perspective. Second thing I want to dig on a little bit is, man, anyone that emailed me today, I'm sorry, because I'm in a mood. Okay, the second thing I want to dig on is this last paragraph. The greatest gift God can give a man besides salvation is to be a father. That's not biblical at all. That's not in the Bible. You heard that somewhere. You either, I don't think you made it up. You just heard it. It's like, sounds nice, but that's not biblical at all. The greatest gift God could give, first of all, the greatest wouldn't be salvation, and the second surely wouldn't be to be a father. If you're going to start ranking gifts, well, first and foremost, it would be in the presence, to know and be in the presence of the glory of God, Creator, Father Almighty, right? Like to be in the presence of Jesus Christ, to absorb the Almighty, the Alpha and the Omega, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, to be in his presence. That would be enough, okay? So, like, that's first, and then we're going to go way down the list. And you know what's way higher than being a father? Being a faithful husband. What happened to that? Where's that? Buddy, that's ahead of being a father. And you're not with the girl, you're not dating or married to the mother of your child, and you say it makes things a little difficult. Of course it does. What are you doing? You're chasing a music dream? You're trying to get 1 million streams? For what? Who cares? What are you going to get out? You don't get paid from that. Spotify doesn't pay you that much money for this. You're going to make a few bucks. What are you doing? You're not with the girl. You're not with. Are you with another girl? Maybe. Are you out? Are you not in the same city? You're touring away from your child. That you already left the mom, right? That's irresponsibility to leave the mother with the child, and you're going to go out on tour to chase a dream that we've already established to have success in is unattainable. Brother, are you feeling me? You feeling me here? You know who you emailed, right? Like you emailed the guy that's giving it up because he has realized it's a rat race. You're spinning your wheels. There is nothing you can grab onto. It's a vapor. It's a mist. Only things done for Christ matter. You have left a child. You've gone on tour. You've left the baby mama. You have no intention of reconciling that at all. That's a problem. You've misidentified gifts from God. That's a problem. You've been praying and seeking guidance. Here I am. Here I am. Brother, tough love. I wouldn't be this tough on you if I didn't understand where you're coming from. If I couldn't sympathize with you, I wouldn't be this tough. I would say, wow, I don't know how that feels, but I do. That's why I could say, wake up. Do the right thing. Be there for your child. I'm going to take a break. Be right back. If you want to get a hold of me for any reason, get a video message from me and send it to someone else, maybe as a gift, maybe to someone that has everything. What do you get them for their birthday or anniversary? Well, you can get them a cameo from me. That's super simple at cameo.com/Granger Smith. Or you can download the Cameo app and search for me, Granger Smith, and I will make a video, a selfie video on my phone according to what you want me to say to who you want me to say it to. So this is like happy birthday or happy anniversary or Merry Christmas or whatever it might be, maybe just a word of encouragement. It could be also to you. I could send the message to you, but I use Cameo all the time, and it has been a very good tool for me to keep in touch with you guys over the last 4 years that I've been using it. And sitting here as I record this, we're only a couple weeks away from the release of my book, Like a River. Now, as a podcast listener, I hope that you are on another level from just the average listener, the average fan, because you have my heart on this podcast. And if you listened this far in to hear what I'm saying now, that means you are invested in what I'm doing. And I appreciate that so much. What you could do to help me with Like a River is, first of all, pre-order that book. And I hope you know that it's coming out on audio version, it's coming out on digital version, it's coming out on hardback. And to be able to review it on whatever website, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you get it, Walmart.com, to be able to review it really helps that book, because my goal is to get it into as many hands as possible, especially the people that need to read the message inside of it. Someone that's hurting, going through grief or heartbreak, they're stuck, they're lost. I want this book to be a beacon, a light at the end of the tunnel, that someone could see there is purpose on the other side of this suffering, of this pain. Again, the book is called Like a River. It comes out August 1st, and you could help me by reviewing it or pre-ordering it, and especially word of mouth on social media and telling your friends all about this book. Back to the podcast. All right. Obviously, I release these every single Monday morning, and obviously I pre-record them. So it is currently 11:53 p.m. while I'm recording this, and maybe there's a correlation. I do better recording these in the morning, and I have less patience because I've been dealing with life during the day. I have a little bit less patience. Maybe that's a lesson for me. Be careful with the podcast. If you're answering at night, you might be a little more frisky. That's what I'm telling you. That's the advice I'm giving myself if I'm sitting in a truck driving down the road, right? Let's go to another question here. Subject line says, X relationship question. Hey, Granger, my name is Zach, and I've been going through a really tough time recently regarding one of my exes. So first off, little backstory. My girlfriend and I were both 17, and we both felt that we were meant to be together, but her parents didn't like me, even though I was always respectful to her and her family. So 9 months into our relationship, her parents made us break up and never gave us a reason why. Flash forward to now, where I'm enlisted in the military, and I hear that she is in a new relationship with a guy that all my friends says is toxic and bad for her, and they say I'm lucky to have gotten away from her. My question is, even though we haven't been together in years, I feel like I need to say something to her to remind her of her worth, but I don't know if it's more for her or me, if that makes any sense. Your podcast has helped me through a lot of hard times, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you, Zach. Thank you for the email. Thank you for your service, enlisting in the military. I don't want to take a lot of time on this because to me, it's very clear. If you and I are sitting together around a campfire, I'd say, lay off the girl. Don't message her. Don't email her. Don't call her. To answer your question, yes, it's about you. It's about you needing closure. That's why you feel like you need a message. You have this feeling like, oh, I want to save her. I want to save her from this guy. I hear this guy's toxic. So I want to give her a warning, as if she would take your advice, or as if she hasn't heard anyone else tell her that before, or as if she still cares what you would say in that situation. She's gone. It's only you looking for closure. You will find the closure better if you stop following her on social media, if you stop asking your friends about her. You just slowly start piling up stuff so you don't see her anymore. And as time goes on, slowly, you'll forget. You'll move on, we'll say it that way, okay? That's your only option. Reaching out to her to say your current boyfriend is toxic in itself. Next question here. Subject line says, is it worth it? Hey, Granger, there's a girl. Man, how many times is that? How many times have I got an email that says that? Hey, Granger, there's a girl that I was talking to this last year. There was everything I was looking for. She told me she wasn't ready, and we ended things very roughly and didn't speak for 6 months. Fast forward almost a year, and we start talking again. But yet again, she says she has some things to work on and isn't ready. She says she wants to be friends, but I know I'll continue having feelings for her if I stay friends with her. Should I stick around or wait for her because she's one of a few close friends I have left? The question comes from Jared. Jared, almost identical answer I would give to the last question that I would give to you. This is not going to work. She's been very clear. In relationships, it's so interesting, especially from the outside looking in when I get these emails. It's interesting that we don't take the person's word for it. It's like they say, I don't like you. I want to be friends. I don't think of us in a romantic way. And we think, in the relationship, we think, what does she really mean? Because surely it's not that. It's like, man, take her for her word. She said no. Guys, if they say no, if they say that they want to be friends, they don't want a romantic relationship, no means no. Get away. That's it. If it's too hard for you at that point, if it's too hard to reconcile, block her on everything, including her number. And if you want to feel better about it, give her a text right before you block her and say, hey, just want to let you know this is not personal. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get over you because I really liked you. So don't take offense to this, but I'm just about to block you on all socials and block your phone number. Just letting you know, okay? Thank you, your friend, goodbye. And then you go in and you block. That's it. If it makes you feel better, do that. If it doesn't, you don't even have to give an explanation. That is a true path to healing. Separation from them, out of sight, out of mind. Let some time go by. Your heart will heal. You'll find someone new. Subject line, the next one says, remorse for sexual sins. Hey, Granger, thank you for taking the time to read this email. Please keep me anonymous. I am a young lady. I read that wrong. I am young, and lately, me and my boyfriend of about a year and a half, both Christians, and first relationship, have been getting closer and closer physically, and it's hard to stop. Though we didn't go all the way, the things we did are not sitting right with us, and remorse is heavy. I know we should be living our relationship the way God wants. Any advice on how to live our relationship in a way that honors God? Once again, please keep me anonymous, and I love your podcast. Keep up the good work. Okay, great. Thank you for the question, anonymous, and I'm looking. No age here. That's no age. I'm assuming young. You said first relationship. I'm assuming pretty young. Okay, so this is one of these questions that without more facts, it's hard to spitball here, but I'm going to tell you what I think. Thanks for your vulnerability. Your heart is in the right place. You're asking the right questions. It's very important. Just to want to ask this kind of question is good. That's a good thing. Especially you're kind of mentioning both of you are kind of saying this, right? It's not sitting right with us, you said. It's not sitting right with us. I like that. That's cool. I like that. It's really good. A bit of a warning. You said we've been getting closer and closer physically, and it's hard to stop, though we didn't go all the way, okay? Just take that little piece right there, and I just want to tell you that getting closer and closer thing, that will not stop if you allow it to go that direction. It's not going to get easier and easier when you're getting closer and closer, because when you get physically intimate like this, your bodies, your souls, like the spirit, whatever you want to call it, your spirit, your soul, your body is connecting. It's connecting in a neurological, chemical way. It's bonding together. That's what humans are meant to do. They're meant to bond for life. So you come together intimately, and you procreate, and you bond for life. That's a chemical thing, right? That is what's going on, and you can't stop that chemical reaction. This is deeper than your willpower, right? So what do? You stop the path of the train. You redirect the tracks. Because if your train stays on that same track, you're going to get the exact result that you think you're going to get. It's really, really easy. So you have to take the train off the track. How do you do that? There's a lot of ways. We could talk through it. If this was a live podcast, we could. Top of my head, you're going to have to create some rules that you don't close the door. You're in a bedroom, you don't close the door, ever. You don't go park down dark places. You don't, if you want to get an extra layer to this, you got to have friends. When you're alone, you got to have friends around. So if you guys are going to watch a movie, say, right, in a dark room on a couch, you got to have a couple other friends at the same time with you. You have to set these ground rules in a time when you're not with them, because when you're with them, you can't make those rules. Why? Because the chemical reaction begins, and you can't stop the train when it's on the same track right there. So set up these rules. It's kind of like if you're trying to go on a diet, you don't go to the grocery store hungry, because you're going to buy the wrong things. So you go to the grocery store after you've made a list for your diet and you're on a full stomach. You're not hungry. You take your list, you go and you're just systematically get what you need for your diet at the grocery store. If not, if you don't do that, it's inevitable that you will get the things you don't need to get. The same thing's going to happen. You will do the things that you will regret, and you will regret it. I mean, all of this, just take it with a grain of salt. Do what you want. I'm telling you, I'm positive on all these things. You will end up doing what you don't want to do, and then you will regret it. And it will be a problem. And it could be a really big problem, right? The decision now is up to you. You know what something you could do? Something you could do is put this on him. Put it on him. And I think that's, you're not going to trust him, right? You're not going to trust all of this with him. You're going to do your own due diligence to prevent this. But put it on him too and just say, can I trust you that this won't go too far? And have him look you in the face. And we'll see what kind of man he is. You'll know a lot about what happens after that. You'll know a lot. In fact, you might know so much so that you could say, you're not the right guy for me. I can't trust you. Or you could say, you have earned my trust. And you could be someone that I could spend the rest of my life with. It could be that easy. Next question here. Subject line here says, getting saved after marriage. Hey, Granger, my husband and I have been married for 8 years this year. Neither of us believed in God during our time dating, nor when we got married. About 6 months into marriage, I went into a terrible depression, and God called me to the church. I went hesitantly and was immediately shown the love of God by the Holy Spirit. God turned my life upside down, and I became a believer, dedicated my life to Jesus, and I got baptized. My husband and I had been going through a rough time due to my depression, and then this significant turnaround. He was even feeling a bit jealous of God, as if I was having an affair on him because of how happy and new I was. God restored our marriage during this time, and life became new. I, of course, wanted to share this with him, and so I pushed my newfound faith in God onto him. He was quick to say, "This is fine for you, but please don't push your beliefs onto me." I respectively backed off and grew in my own faith. When we decided a couple of years later to have a child, I told my husband I wanted to raise the baby as a Christian and in the church together as a family. He agreed as long as he didn't have to be there every weekend. And then she needed to be old enough to decide her own beliefs. I wouldn't force her to continue attending church, and I agreed. I'm sorry, y'all, this is a little bit long. My husband had been attending church with us has been attending for about a year and a half now. It started out as only every other weekend, but after we joined a small group and created community within the church, he began attending weekly with us. Praise God. I know God is moving in him, but he is still not a believer. It has been 7.5 long years of praying for God to soften his heart, and I'm still waiting. This makes marriage extremely difficult because we have had a lot of different views and opinions. We have been in a season for about 3 years now where we have a really hard time connecting both emotionally and physically. We are in regular couples counseling, and we put a lot of hard work into it, but it never seems to be enough. I have been patient in my husband's changing faith, praying that God will call him to his own in his own timing. But sometimes it feels so hard. In the past, I have even considered divorce due to our differences, but through prayer and scripture, I know better. And so I continue to fight for our marriage while waiting on God to change his heart. How can I connect with my husband even though we are extremely different? How can I help my relationship flourish in the waiting? Many blessings, Amanda. Okay, great. I usually don't like to read an email that long, and I accidentally got into it, didn't see it. Um, but Amanda, thank you. I didn't mean that in anything against your email. Thank you for opening up and being vulnerable and bringing this situation. I mean, it's, you needed to tell it all. So thank you for that. Your question after this email, which is difficult and beautiful at the same time, your question is, how can I connect with my husband, although we are extremely different? How can I help my relationship flourish in the waiting? I love that, man. That's so good. That's such a beautiful thought. And I appreciate you saying this because I think a lot of people would have the sentiment of, this sucks. I hate this. This is so difficult. And I'm sure it is. And I'm sure you've shed your share of tears. But we could almost use this question and relate it to anybody, not just an unbelieving husband, but how do I connect with my husband, although we are extremely different? That works with a lot of different relationships, right? Not just believer, non-believer, whatever. And I would say this: relationship building or relationship flourishing, that's your words, it depends so much on selflessness. All of us are hidden narcissists in some way. And I say that because, and somebody might be thinking, I'm not. I'm definitely not. I'm so humble. Maybe you are. But the reason I say it that way, I mean it. We are so self-absorbed. That's our natural state. We naturally are self-absorbed because we're constantly needing to take care of ourselves. Hunger, thirst, hot, cold, tired. Like we follow ourselves and our feelings, our fleshly feelings, constantly all day long. We are appeasing our desires all the time. Whether it's I got a sweet tooth right now, whether it's I want to hit the snooze and sleep for 10 more minutes, whether it's, you know what, I don't want to be in this conversation right now. I've got a headache. Whether it's my lower back is sore and I'd like just sit down for a little bit. We're constantly appeasing ourselves all day long for years. That's what we do. And so to reverse that is to say, I'm going to deny my selfishness and pour into someone else. That's why it's so interesting. And I don't think we think enough about how profound it is when Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. He doesn't say, love your neighbor more than yourself. He doesn't say, make sure you love yourself first and then love your neighbor. He doesn't say that. He says, love your neighbor as yourself. It's so interesting. I don't think we really dig into what that means because it's assuming that we love ourselves. That's what it assumes. Jesus is assuming, well, you love yourself, love your neighbor like that. Do you know how you love yourself? You know how you feed yourself when you're hungry? You know how you give yourself aspirin when you've got a headache? You know how you go and lay down and take a nap when you're tired? Do that the same way for someone else. Do that. Not more, not over the top, not less. Just do that. That's so fascinating, right? In fact, I know there's people listening right now thinking to themselves, well, not me. I don't love myself. Jesus was wrong about me because I can't love my neighbor as myself because I don't even love myself. It's so crazy. Think about it just for a second. That thought is self-loving because you're, in a way, worrying about yourself. In that situation, you are feeling sorry for yourself, saying, I don't love myself. I don't love myself. And so we go to therapy and we pay money to therapists and psychiatrists and we talk to people in counseling, all to make us feel better, to love ourselves more. So we pour into ourselves and have other people pour, and we pay this money and we lay on couches and we talk about our feelings, all because we're trying to love ourselves more. That sounds like obsessive love. Like, when have you ever done that for someone else? Gone out of your way, take them to therapy, take them to counseling, lay on the couch, talk about your feelings, make sure they're eating right. That's what we do for ourselves. It's crazy. In fact, the pinnacle of this self-love, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the pinnacle of this is suicide. Because suicide, at its core, at its essence, is so self-loving that it says, I don't care about anyone else. All I care about is my own peace and rest. And I will do it. I will obtain the peace and the rest through killing myself. I will obtain this at all cost. I don't care about mother and father and spouse and sibling and friends and boss and coworkers. I don't care about any of them. They could deal with my funeral. They could deal with every aftermath of all this. They could deal with the sadness. They could deal with the shock of walking in on this horrible scene. They could deal with it. I don't care. I love myself so much, so toxically, that I'm willing to take my own life just to achieve my own rest. It's crazy. And I believe that's true. I believe that's what Jesus means when he says, love others as yourself. Assuming we already love ourselves, even if you think it's hate, because hating is a close friend of love. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. I don't care. And no one is indifferent to themselves. Try to go a day without eating. Try to go a week without sleeping. You're not indifferent to it. You're obsessed with it. You gotta pacify it, right? Here's my point, and I'll make this simple because I went on probably too long on that, but my point is this. How could you help your relationship flourish? How can you connect with your husband? You can connect with him by selflessly enjoying or trying to involve yourself in things that he likes. Like, maybe you've noticed that he likes to come in and relax, and he likes to watch football on Monday nights after work. Like, that's his thing. And you don't like it. You don't really like football. You don't really understand football. It's never really been your thing. Maybe you fix his favorite meal and you sit down on the couch and you go, can you teach me about this game? What does the downs mean? What does end zone mean? What if you did that and inside you're thinking, I don't care, this is stupid, I've got things to do, I'm busy right now. Those thoughts are going to come, but what if you thought, I'm going to put that stuff aside, I'm going to deny all that, and I'm going to pour into him tonight. And you watched little things that he did, and everything that you watched and you acted on in a loving, selfless way, and he's going, what is it with this girl? She is amazing. What has changed in her heart? This Jesus guy. This has got to be something that I need, because I can't believe what it's doing to her. In fact, that's what Jesus teaches. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's the message. I love you guys. Selflessly. I appreciate you so much. We'll see you next Monday. Thanks for joining me on the Granger Smith podcast. I appreciate all of you guys. You could help me out by rating this podcast on iTunes. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to this channel, hit that little like button and the notifications bell so that you never miss any time I upload a video. If you have a question for me that you would like me to answer, email grangersmithpodcast@gmail.com. Yee.